welcome back to another season of Freedom from Fire. During these quite difficult times, managing social distancing and making sure that we are following appropriate safety guidelines, Freedom from Fire has embraced a new style via Zoom. We will strive to consistently bring our valuable content and information to our viewers, as well as providing our legendary, amazing interviews. Hello and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I will be your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamour. I'm currently stationed in our department's Fire Prevention Division, where community risk reduction efforts are a primary goal. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. Did you know that our Fire Commissioner, Adam Steele, is also the director of the city's OEM, that's Office of Emergency Management. OEM works to ensure that the City of Philadelphia is ready for any kind of emergency, as well as teaching the public how to prepare for emergencies. They also develop public safety plans for major events within the City of Philadelphia. Within OEM, there's an Operations Division, Planning Division, and Public Engagement Division. The Operations Division directly supports the work of planning and public affairs to ensure that emergency planning needs are met with reliable systems and equipment. A newly created position in the Operations Division is the EMLO, Emergency Management Liaison Officer. Joining us today, we have Ms. Angel Roebuck, who is one of several Emergency Management Liaison Officers. Angel brings a wealth of knowledge from her previous positions. She is no stranger, therefore, to all things emergency and disaster related. Thank you, Angel, so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I was excited to open up the season with you. I'm so glad. I know you guys are super busy with everything that's going on. So when I say thank you, I'm very appreciative. With all of my guests, I always start same fashion. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, as well as giving us background so folks understand how well versed you are in emergency management.
Absolutely. So I actually started out in emergency management with the American Red Cross. I started out as their disaster program specialist, and my territory was Montgomery County and Delaware County. And then 6 months into the role, I was promoted to their disaster program manager role, in which I supervised 2 specialists. And then I was also given the territory of Philadelphia. And so in that role, what we did was we managed a volunteer cadre of about 100 volunteers in each county. And what these volunteers did was we prepared them to go out into the communities and support residents that were displaced by local disasters. We also prepare on a larger scale. As a lot of people know, Red Cross responds nationally to disasters as well. So I did that for 4 years. And from there, I transitioned over here to the City of Philadelphia's Office of Emergency Management. And I am one of 4 new Emergency Management Liaison Officers.
Okay, so we have 4. Is there going to be more, or do we know that? Is that information we're allowed to know?
So I think we're hoping there will be more one day. I believe it all depends on funding and program structure. It is a brand new program. We all started last month. So we are still determining a lot of things about it and seeing what works, what doesn't work. So I don't think you'll see any more of us anytime soon, but I do think there is hope that there will be some more in the future.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question then. Why emergency management? What was the deciding factor?
So for me, I've always had a love and a passion for working with underserved and underrepresented populations. I actually started out of college working with a nonprofit organization for people with HIV and AIDS. And so although that wasn't emergency management, that was a entity of public health. And the skill sets definitely translated over to being an emergency manager. And so when I found a position at Red Cross under humanitarian work, I realized that I had the skill sets for it. I already had the passion for helping others. And so I just knew that it was the field for me.
That's amazing. So that I'm assuming from college, that was the deciding factor going into the nonprofit sector, helping those, as you say, disenfranchised, and then it just continued to blossom from there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Um, so what are some things that you can tell us about this new position of how it came to be?
So I believe that some of the leadership at OEM kind of identified a need for a role that could potentially support local incidents 24/7. And although we are not 24/7 in our current role right now, that is what we're planning to scale up to be. So the Office of Emergency Management does have an on-call team that provides support to Philadelphia around the clock. So what the MLO role does is we take a little bit off of the on-call team. We kind of augment the position a little bit, and we kind of identify an incident and determine if there's a need for OEM. And if that need is determined, we may go out or we may even provide some remote support. And we assess the situation to then determine if the on-call team is also going to be needed as well. Because we always have to keep in mind that our on-call team, they are amazing because their day-to-day role could be something totally different than response. They're usually in preparedness, they're in recovery, so they're wearing multiple hats. So the MLO role is more specific to being able to focus on that day-to-day response and the need for it.
Okay, so when you talk about remote support, what exactly is that like?
Right. So OEM has a 24/7 regional integration center, and this center operates out of the fire administration building, in which they just kind of monitor the city and all incidents that take place. So when the city determines that there may be something going on that OEM may need to get out there and provide some support, they'll be able to reach out to the MLO program, who will also probably be doing some monitoring on their own as well, and we'll be able to either physically go out and assess the situation or reach out to the partners on scene, such as the fire department, and determine if there's a need for OEM support.
Okay, so what would be like specific tasks or duties? Like, what do you guys do? You're not clearly at a desk just tapping away on a computer.
Right, right. And we aren't first responders either. So we're more like a middleman.
Okay,
We provide resources, whether it's material resources or even bringing other partners to the table to help support the residents of Philadelphia when an incident takes place. So if the fire department has any material requests, and it could be anything from needing generators or anything of that nature on scene, we help facilitate getting those needs met. But also if we identify, hey, this is a large incident and some people are going to be displaced, we'll also be able to be the supporting agency to bring other agencies in to support those folks that are displaced.
okay. So are there certain criteria that must be in place to activate your response, and what are they, if there are any?
Yes, so we are actually still working on identifying what the thresholds will be to trigger our response. I can certainly tell you, you probably will not see us going to two and twos or anything like that. However, any operations that displace a large number of residents, you'll see us out there. Any incidents that need a lot of coordination or partner agencies request us, will absolutely be there.
So it's not necessarily a disaster event or an emergency event. It could be something that just it affects a large portion of the community. Maybe a large event. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our large events that take place in the city as well will definitely help support, such as your Welcome America, 4th of July event type things. Yes, absolutely. We help with those as well.
Okay. Okay. And I hate to use, these difficult times right now as an example, but I can't think of a better one other than because of all the restrictions now and this new position, does it make it, I guess the word I'm looking for is maybe somewhat easier for the transition? Basically what I'm getting at is typically you get into a new role, there's so much going on and you feel so overwhelmed. Is this overwhelming because of all that's going on right now?
So I will definitely say that I think leadership was very strategic in the folks they chose for this role. All four of us have very diverse backgrounds in emergency management, and also we are all very well versed with Philadelphia and other partner agencies. So I think that has definitely helped us in the transition into this new role. Also, once again, because it's such a new role, we are being provided the opportunity to help shape it. So it wasn't like we were thrown into it and it was like, okay, it's all laid out. No, they were actually utilizing us, our expertise. They're going to allow us to do some things, trial and error, to kind of determine which way the program goes. So I'm very grateful to be able to be in this role because I get to help kind of create it a little bit and help mold it in the direction of the program.
That's amazing. There's not too many places where you're offered that much input, and I guess for emergency management, it makes sense. So that's amazing. As far as possibly bringing MLOs, more MLOs into OEM, do you think that would lessen your duties? Do you think that would make them greater?
So I think, if anything, it will just build up the OEM team. I feel like Philadelphia is super busy, as we all know, um, and it's huge responsibilities that are in the city. So to bring on more MLOs, I think it's just more support to build up other areas of the team. We also support the logistics team. We also support the community engagement team. So it'll just be more folks to help out in those areas as well, on top of response and recovery.
Okay. And I know a few moments ago you mentioned the word stakeholders. Have you guys had the opportunity really to sit with community partners, relevant stakeholders to kind of get together and gel ideas?
So that is the plan. Once again, we are literally a month and a half into the program, and we have done a few sit downs so far. We've sat down with the fire department's leadership. We're planning to sit down with police department's leadership, and several other partners. So we are trying to get the word out there about the new program and how we can be a support to our partner agencies. That's why we were very grateful when you invited us on the show, because it's another way for us to get out to the community what we do and the new program that's here.
I mean, I love having, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning in our intro, I love having our local community partners. So if there's anything as far as I will not claim to be a marketing expert, but I can put the word out there whenever I'm out in the community, whenever I'm speaking with other, community partners, I will plug you guys. If there's anything you want me more specific, to kind of put out there, you can shoot me an email, give me a call, let me know because I would definitely. I love you guys in OEM. I'm not just saying that.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, we tell everybody, any partners that are interested in learning more about the program and what we do, feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to sit down with anyone and let them know what the new program is about and how we could potentially support their agency and their partnership.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we will keep the conversation going about emergency management. So please stay tuned.
As birthplace to the first volunteer fire companies, Philadelphia is home to one of the nation's premier fire museums. Firemans Hall Museum displays the city's fire history in addition to promoting fire safety. You can visit Firemans Hall Museum in Old City at 147 North 2nd Street. Visit firemanshallmuseum.org to learn more or watch the museum's show, Curator's Corner, on LaSalle TV.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamour. We've been discussing emergency management with Angel from OEM, Office of Emergency Management, and her position as an Emergency Management Liaison Officer, otherwise affectionately known as the EMLO. So we're going to get to the second portion of our interview today and just go right back into questioning. My next question then is, does an EMLO provide any follow-up action, such as checking in with those affected to see if they may need some additional resources?
Right. So our job is pretty much to determine how bad is bad, right? So what we do is we kind of help to communicate and amplify the messaging from our partners, while thinking through second and third order effects. So it's very important for us to kind of focus on that and keep that in mind. So although we may not offer many of our own resources directly to survivors, we are always willing and ready to connect local partners to those who are affected by an incident and get them the resources and the help they may need. And sometimes that does require some follow-up and some checking in to see how things are going from an incident, and seeing if there's any gaps where some support is needed from local partners.
Okay.
So usually that's the route that we take.
Okay. And so then I'm assuming whenever you in a situation such as, let's say, a large event, a large disaster event, and there's, folks that are affected, significantly, and they need, additional resources, then you have that opportunity then to connect them with additional resources that may perform follow-up action. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're always big on trying to bring partners around the table when we have a identified issue and getting it resolved, and seeing where we can plug in partners and get them connected to the community and the needs that are there.
Okay. So what are some attributes that you believe make for a good emergency manager?
Yes, I would definitely have to say some attributes that make up a good emergency management would definitely have to be someone with great communication skills. I think communication is very key in our role, because we communicate with people from all different walks of life, all different partners, all different ranks based on the agency. So great communication skills is very important. Another attribute I would definitely have to say someone who is adaptable. I think it's very important for someone to be able to be adaptable in this role, and to be able to adjust when needed. And that can range anywhere from communication style, it could change from who you're talking with, to just being adaptable in certain environments that you may be in. So I think being adaptable and having great communication skills are some great attributes that an emergency manager definitely needs.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you. I mean, because those are some very, attributes would be ideal for a firefighter, lieutenant, anyone in the fire department, even the police department. So when you're dealing with, public safety agencies, I would say at the top of the list. Completely agree with you as far as communication and adaptability. What are some future hopes that you may have regarding emergency management in general? I mean, you're so passionate, so I definitely want to know what you have to say about this.
But I would definitely say a few things. I would love to see the bridging of the gap or more integration between emergency manager practitioners and emergency managers from the academic world. So folks who have an emergency management degree versus folks who actually just have the experience, the on-the-job training experience. I would love to see the two come together a little bit more in the bridging of the gap between the two, because a lot of people don't realize that there is a difference between the two in a lot of ways, training, skill sets, knowledge. And so I think to bring the two together will make a great unified front for emergency management. And then I would definitely say another future hope that I would love to see. So I think Philadelphia does a great job relying on and utilizing their emergency managers. However, in previous roles, I've deployed to other states for other disasters, and I've gotten an opportunity to see how other cities potentially utilize or not their emergency managers. And so I would love to see a larger national push for cities to utilize their emergency managers because we bring such great knowledge and support to partners that we deal with. And so I would like to see everybody kind of just get on board how Philadelphia does and kind of interact with everyone, train together a little bit and get to know each other more so that when large incidents happen, we are familiar with each other and how we operate and we're ready to go.
Okay. So you mentioned just moments ago about being deployed to other states. How has that enhanced you in the way you operate with emergency management?
So I would definitely say it's opened my eyes to the reality that in our field, we kind of sometimes meet people on their worst day. And in doing so, a lot of people don't realize being an emergency manager, you also have to be able to deal with trauma. You have to be able to, meet a person on their worst day. And so having deployed to several large disasters, that kind of drove it home for me. And it drove it home for me to the point where I realized how important it is to be compassionate and to be a good listener as well. So, yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to deploy in my previous role for several large incidents during a few previous hurricane seasons,
Oh,
actually.
wow. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that enhanced, as far as the practical side and getting that experience, because you mentioned also moments ago about folks that are hands-on experience as opposed to those who went to school. And that was something that was new to me because honestly, even though I'm in public safety, I just made the assumption that it was all the same, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you'd be shocked how many of us are actually in the field and we don't have a degree in emergency management. We have a degree in probably something else, but not a degree in emergency management. I personally do not have a degree in emergency management. I know some wonderful people who do. And so I've heard a lot of different things from both sides of the fence. I know a lot of people who do have the degree and they feel like they've struggled to get into the field because they have the degree, but they don't have the experience. So I would just love to see the bridging of the gap. There is so much that I can learn from a person with an emergency management degree and vice versa. So much they can learn from someone as myself who just has the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to see it come together a little more conversation around that topic. I think it makes for, like I said, a more unified front with emergency managers as a whole.
Okay. And it makes complete sense to have the two mesh together in order to operate on that one umbrella of emergency management, emergency disaster planning, preparedness. Would you say that you have a preference into one area more so than another? So I just realized I had to ask her, like, is it planning? Is it preparation? Is it recovery? Which one would you say for you?
So interestingly enough, in my previous role, I did all of it. My previous role required us to do the full cycle of emergency management. So we did preparedness, response, recovery, and what we call readiness as well. And so having been able to do a little bit of it all, I've come to realize I am more of an operations person. I'm more of a response person. Like I said, my passion is to always be able to have some way to help someone on their worst day. And that doesn't mean I have to necessarily be out there, but I love being able to be behind the scenes and writing policies and programs that support that need. So yeah, I would definitely have to say the response and the operation side is me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask you, but you tell me because I'm going to ask anyway. I'll answer that. Um, would you say there's one particular area that's more difficult to maneuver than the other? And if so, why?
I would say it's personality wise.
Okay.
I would definitely say it's based on your personality. Some people don't necessarily want to be out there. Some people are awesome at behind the scenes things. They're awesome at putting together plans. They're awesome at creating programming, preparedness, exercises, things of that nature. Some people are just really great behind the scenes people, and then some people they get that adrenaline rush. They need to be out there. They need to be involved and engaged in the community. So I think it's based on a person's personality for sure.
So far, you said you're a month in.
Yes. So we started in August.
New, very, as we keep putting it out there, definitely new position. We're still learning, we're still planning, we're still implementing. How is it so far?
I think it's great. I think it's great. And I think what's cool about it is we've been given the opportunities to pretty much each take on like I guess you could say a specialty.
Okay.
And so whatever piques our interest or whatever we're great at, like we have someone on our team and he's awesome at logistical things. And so as we're getting new vehicles for the program, he's planning what's going to go in them and the outfit of them and things of that nature. And so he's just good at it. We have someone who is great at writing SOPs. And so he's been, getting our SOPs on paper because with the new program, you kind of got to have some standard operating procedures with it. And so he's putting together that. So I think it's super cool that we get the opportunity to also to have an area that we specialize in. I've been afforded the opportunity to identify some necessary trainings that we all need to take, and just some that may just pique our interest. And so I'm in the process of getting those lined up for us. And so I just think it's great that they are giving us the opportunity to help grow this program, mold this program, and determine the direction it's going. Of course, under their guidance and their instruction, and of course, they provided a solid foundation on some of the end goals they would like to see come out of it. But there is some great flexibility in the role, and it, in my opinion, is an awesome role for career growth as well.
Okay. So, you know what, Angel, I really do look forward to partnering with you with something. I don't know what
Likewise.
that may but I'm really looking forward to that. And then we get to work in a different, I hate to say atmosphere because it's not atmosphere. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but
I know.
position, it was a different, situation, different circumstance, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
So now you're here, you're with OEM, and then I look forward to that connection and seeing, what that's going to be like. I mean, you're a great person to work with, and so I expect it to be good, for lack of a better word.
Likewise. Thank you so much. And thank you again for giving us this platform just to kind of talk about the program. It's still very early in, so maybe in a year or two, you can check back in with us and maybe we'll have some real live updates for you and we'll be able to, pinpoint some large incidents that we were able to support, and even shine more light on how valuable the program will be and currently is. So thank you so much for having us and doing this with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm gonna hold you to that. In a year, we will be back, and there will be more things I'm certain, that you can probably discuss, and more things that I'll learn that I didn't know. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, thank you so much for joining us and for answering all of my questions and for learning me and for learning our audience. Remember, if you would like to find out more about us on LaSalle TV, you can check us out on our social media sites. And if you're interested in learning about the Philadelphia Fire Department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. Also, check out Firemans Hall Museum, located 147 North 2nd Street. It's in the Old City section of our great city. I would once again like to thank Angel so much for joining us. I would like to thank all of you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.